training. We are continuing our series, our sales series from the top sellers of each state. And many of them are on our team, including Pauline Mummy, who was the top seller in Texas, which is kind of a huge deal because Texas is huge. And the other thing that's a huge deal, you guys, is that this is her second year as the top seller in the state of Texas. So be like, we feel really lucky and honored to have you talk to us today about being successful when you have never sold before, which is a great topic. So I know there's many of you who have never sold before. And so we can't wait to hear what you have to say, Pauline. So before you get started on the topic, will you just give us a little bit of background on your Color Street journey?
Yes. So I'm so excited to be here. A little nervous too. But I joined Color Street in January of 2018. My upline is Katie Olson. I never really done direct sales before. If anything, I had a really negative perception of it. So for me to have found success, I feel like is just, it blows my mind when I think about it because I thought, oh, I have a degree and oh, I have a master's in business. So I'm too good for that. And now doing the work, I see, wow, it's a real business, you know?
Sure.
And it takes a lot of work and it's very rewarding too. So I've been doing that. I'm about to celebrate 2 years. I am a married mom to two boys, and they keep me really busy. And I don't talk about it publicly a lot, but I mean, in amongst friends, I understand sometimes people are, we have challenges, and both of my kids have medical issues, and so I get it, trying to fit in a business that I really don't have an expertise on, and then fitting it in with these really important parental responsibilities is a challenge at times, but it work. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. So I'm going to let you just hop into the topic. We can't wait to hear from you. And then I'll interrupt with my random questions and the questions from our team.
Okay, great. Well, I have like bullet points, but I don't have necessarily like a half hour talk. I can talk forever. If you've ever interacted with me, you might think, oh my gosh, I'll never get away from her. Let me tell you that what was her name? The storyteller.
Ginger Hall.
Yes. Oh my gosh. She resonated with me so much. And I kept thinking, I need to get better at telling my stories because I think I'm a storyteller, but not a good one. So, yeah, so we've already kind of talked about how I didn't necessarily have direct sales experience. I'd worked in a few different areas. I'd done some recruiting, which was a challenge, but it's not something that I necessarily wanted when I did it. It's a whole nother story. So
That
I
was part
think
of your like corporate job was doing.
yes, my corporate job, but actually I wasn't recruiting for jobs. I was recruiting platelet donors. And so, so it probably was training for this job and I just didn't realize it. But what I did is I had to convince people to sit in a chair for an hour and a half to 2 hours donating a component of their blood. So I was successful at that because I was passionate about it, and I think that is probably how what I see the same thing with Color Street. When we're passionate about it, we
Yeah.
can have great success. So it doesn't matter if you've done it before or if it matters that it's a great product, but really what people are buying is they're buying our enthusiasm first and then they're buying the product, right?
Yeah.
So there's a few things I kept trying to think, I'm going to be really clever and come up with like the 3 ways to do this or the 7 things not to do, but I'm not that organized. So
You're good.
I there were a couple things that I guess for me I think are what I would consider like a rule or something that I find that really helps you find success even when you've never sold before. And first is don't reinvent the wheel. We have way too many resources, and Team Nailed It to try and do things on your own. And I know in my experience what I see when people try, when they tell me they're going to do it their way, those people, they're not here. They're not. 90% of the time they don't succeed, or they really stall out in their business. And it's not because they're not amazing people and they don't love the product, but it's because they're unwilling to be, what is it, teachable. I think it's been a while since I've read it, but one of my favorite books is Get Over Yourself by Romy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yes. Yeah.
Gosh, love that book. I think I listened to it on audio like 6 times in a row.
It's a really, really good read for women in direct sales.
It is, and I think especially for those of us, myself included, who may have had kind of this hesitancy to do the things that we think we're supposed to do in direct sales, which we think that's cold calling people, and we think that that's selling to our friends and family, and we think it's all these things that we're like, oh, that's icky, and then that's not what we teach here, right, at all.
No.
Sometimes our predisposed ideas of what we are supposed to do prevents us from seeing what guidance we're getting, and we're unwilling to be flexible and think, okay, it's not the same thing to develop real relationships with people. That's not the same as cold calling, right? That's not what we're saying to do. What we're saying is to develop real relationships with people, to care about people. And
Mhm.
then if they want to buy, they're probably going to buy from you. I mean, it's just kind of natural how that thing happens, right? Like that normal flow. So
Very true.
yeah, so I always say don't reinvent the wheel. If you're gonna do it on your own, that's great. I'm here for you. But most of those people don't retain, or they just, there's a couple people and I just adore them, and it's like I feel like their success would go like this, but they're not willing to do these things, so they kind of just stay here, which is not even, I think, the normal flow of our business. I feel like I always tell my team, $300 a month may, if you're just trying to achieve $300 a month, but you're really doing the things you need to do to maintain and grow your business, you're going to be growing your business, because $300 a month, you can't sell to the same 20 people every month. You're going to be building your customer base, you're going to be expanding your customer base, so that every month it grows. And really, you should be seeing that it's like when you invest money, right, your money grows, and it's like the number of people and your income should be growing as you are working your business. So just follow in the footsteps of the people for you. And that's what I did. My upline's Katie Olson, and she is a rock star. And I really think for the first year, every time she did something, I did it too. And she was amazing about, she wants us to succeed. So, but I always tell people, like, just do what Katie does or do what I do. And don't just do it, which kind of leads into maybe my second rule,
Before you
which,
jump into that, can I just say,
yeah, yeah,
and I truly believe success leaves clues. So you saw Katie having success, and so you followed that. And you can find people, if you don't have like a strong upline, find other people within your company that are, that are crushing it, and they're going to leave little clues on what they're doing to succeed. And so just watching them and kind of, making it your own is huge.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I should say, I mean, I try to always put my own perspective or my own spin. So if I see her posting, she does really clever things in her VIP group. So I'm like, oh, I'll try that, but I might use a different image, or I might use the same image but change the wording. So I try to be authentic to myself, because I think that's what some of us struggle with so much is like maybe we're not inclined to do all the social media stuff, which I really struggle with. I mean, I'm pretty sure I posted once in the last week, which isn't good, and I'm working on getting back to it. But
Obviously, you've had success. So,
yeah.
like, success doesn't always look the same for everyone. There's different paths to get there for sure, and you have to find your own path. But I do think you have to be open to trying some of the things that are working for other people, and like that your team already has in place for you.
Absolutely. Well, and I would say that consistency that you always talk about is really important. And I have seen my business goes like this based on my consistency. And so, and if we're using Facebook as a tool, I mean, the things that I'm going to talk about, I know are things we've talked about before. But it's like when you're inconsistent, it leads to inconsistencies in your business. And I've experienced that. So, and like Facebook, those algorithms, if you're not consistent and you're not getting engagement, you need to ask yourself what you can do differently. And so that does lead into that my kind of second rule is step outside of your comfort zone. So that totally comes from my book, and I always tell people one foot in it going forward is still in the right direction, right? If you're trying to go forward, just one tiny step and just another tiny step. So sometimes I'll talk to my team about let's do one thing today that is slightly out of our comfort zone, and just do that every single day, and it gets you in the habit of being brave, because it's hard. It is
Yeah,
really hard sometimes.
it is.
uh,
It's scary.
yeah.
Like Facebook Lives, I think are a lot of people are scared to do that. And like I look back on my old Facebook Lives and they were awful. You get better at it with practice. It's like it all takes practice.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that was so my third kind of rule was to be consistent. And so, which we've talked about. So one of my friends, Miss Shannon Kading, I was talking to her earlier this week about doing this. And she goes, but you've also had a lot of success with events. So I was able very early to get into large events. And I say large events, probably not as big as Aaron Stone's, but pretty big events. And that definitely helps. And so, but I think it's also been a good kind of training ground for what you need to do. And that's in terms of making sure that you're prepared to talk to people in a very short amount of time. So if you see someone and they compliment you on your nails, we talk about this, like, yeah, say, oh, I did them myself, and here I can show you how it's done. Or don't send them off with a sample, you get their information. Just these little actions that kind of help create connection. Let's see what else. So the events have been good. I will say I'm noticing a different trend, and it's that more people are aware of the product, which is great. But it's definitely gonna change up these big events, I think. I'm trying to think. There was something else. I should have written it down, but I didn't write it down.
Well, and Melissa Sodi says, regarding consistency, like there's no such thing as coasting.
Yeah.
You're either moving your business forward or you're moving it backwards. Like it's kind of like you're on a hill. You're either like pedaling or you're rolling backward. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's just about the baby steps. Again, you don't have to do big things. It's just about the baby steps of business.
Yeah.
But that really hit me because you don't want to just if you do nothing, you're gonna roll backward on that hill.
Totally. That totally resonates with me. And I think it does for most people. And people, it, one of the things when I was talking with Shannon about, I said, I think one other thing I see people doing is they think they're going to sell to their friends and their family and build a big business. And that I said, of course, I don't really have a big family, so maybe that helps, but I've never seen my friends and my family as my customers. I saw them as resources. I mean, they are my customers, but I see them as resources for opportunities, like in terms of, oh, maybe they're gonna help me find an event I can go to, or they're going to maybe they'll host a party, but I don't put the burden of my success on my sales to my friends and family, because that's not who I am. That's not who I want to be. And even I'm with that way with my customers. I mean, I want them to feel like I value them as a person more than a sale. And so
Mhm.
kind of changing that frame of mind for people, I think, is really important, because you're just going to burn out your friends and family, and you're going to see that and you're going to be like, what's going on? I can't sell to anybody, but you haven't done anything to grow your network either. So
What's interesting is my daughter was like asking me if any of our family bought from me, and hardly anyone like gets the nails for me in my family. So, which I'm okay with, because I've just noticed a pattern that your family, they'll support you, but they don't typically buy from you. And I think it's just because they're kind of like, I don't know what it is. It's kind of like how like a prophet in his own land is like unappreciated. I'm butchering that, but you know what I mean? Like they just it's kind of like, oh, it's Kelly, you know what I mean?
yeah,
So don't take it personally. And I prefer to sell to people I am not besties with, or people that are not my close friends and family. Um, so yeah, so I'm glad you mentioned that, because I don't think that, like, they're not my target market,
yeah,
but they are great resources. Like when my cousin Erin started as a color street stylist, she said, "You guys are all having parties for me," and she went on tour to their houses and did parties. Had a party. And when I did my first party, it was at my sister-in-law's house. So yeah, they are great resources.
that's, oh my gosh, I kind of love that idea. I'm going to start telling people that you
I
can
know,
just tell your family that you just need their help to host parties, and people want to help us, but yet they don't want to necessarily buy from us. We don't like, they don't want to, that does get awkward. So
right?
absolutely. So let's see, the events have been really good. Yeah, I think the probably the biggest takeaway that I've the biggest thing I've had to learn, and I still struggle with, is to get out of my own way. Like, not let my fear of being judged by a stranger for talking about something that I love. And I love Color Street, and I think the product is fantastic, and I know that it works. And so I need to stop caring so much about what a stranger might think of me, which I think I have. I mean, I
Yeah.
feel like I've proven it's a real thing. And so that's been really a good, I think, for some of us. I know there's a lot of us out here who join looking for that self, like, we're looking for that value. We want to feel valued. We want to show that we add value, to show that we can be successful, to show that I just, and I just think that that's something that this product and this company can help us prove to ourselves more than anybody else.
Yeah. And I think two ways to get over yourself
Yeah.
is to, number one, personal development, which I preach all the time. Reading or listening to personal development audiobooks is huge, because I mean, we're human. We all have an inner mean girl in our head. We're all gonna have moments where we're like, am I good enough? Am I, capable? We always second guess ourselves. So, but when you're like listening to positive words all the time, it's going to uplift you and empower you. And then the second thing is to have your why, or what you're working towards, stronger than your excuses. So for me, like, yes, I knew people were going to judge me. Yes, I knew people were going to unfriend me, follow me. But my why was stronger than my pride. And so I was like, your opinions don't pay my bills, and mama needs to make some money. So like,
Like that.
I had some big goals, and people are going to judge you anyways. Let's be honest. They're going to judge
Yeah.
you whether you sit back and do nothing, or they're going to judge you whether you put yourself out there. So you might as well like reach your goals, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I do want to say one thing that you did, and I think this was last summer, that really, I think, helped me so much. Was you did, it was, I think, the mastermind where you recommended that we all pair up.
Oh yeah,
Um, and
accountability partner.
yes, and
Mhm.
so I did that, and Jamie and Alicia, or it wound up being three of us, and but it was so good, and it was they still are resources for me when you're kind of not sure what to do, when you just need an ear like to sound something off, and it's not somebody in my downline or in my upline. They're completely separate and kind of unbiased or whatever you might call it. That's been a really fantastic thing. So I encourage people find someone. Maybe you should figure out a way to make that like a prompt for people because it was such a great. It was really so helpful in the beginning to have that. Yeah, it was last summer. So I love that. And then
I'll post that in the team
yay,
for
yeah,
you guys to like date and find your partner, your accountability partner. Cause it really, I mean, like, I feel like I have, like, Katie Harbison and I like chat back and forth. We're not even on the same team, but it's just nice to have that, like, to have a connection with someone else that you can, like, talk to on your bad days, talk to on your, celebrate on your good days and bounce ideas off of. Totally.
yeah. I've been so lucky because after the cruise or at the cruise right before, I wound up blind dating and rooming with Shannon and Christy, and so they have become two of my closest friends. I'm so thankful for them and their wisdom and their perspectives. I think it would really help. I can't imagine where it wouldn't help you, everybody, to do that.
Right. No, it does. I mean, and I did it in my previous company, like just having that friend, and she was on a different team too. That's the funny thing. So having just a friend that that's in the same company that you can bounce ideas off of, it's like, it's just so great to have that support.
Yeah, I'm really lucky, and maybe that should be one of the keys to being successful. Is I have a really supportive husband, and my kids are, they at times are pretty helpful. um, but I will say my supportive husband has been great, but sometimes he's like, okay, well, you don't know if you don't try. So it's like he's not we're kind of more risk averse than that. But sometimes I'll bounce things off of like Christy and Shannon and be like, should I do this? Is this event? I see this happening. I don't know. And they're also invested in in my success, and so they may have a different perspective or maybe a more like conservative approach, like maybe you shouldn't do that and lose money or whatever it would be.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's so nice to just get some ideas and advice from someone else. So I love that you mentioned that, and I will definitely post about that because I think that's super huge. Because then plus community is so important with your customers and your team, and so feeling like you're part of something and you have a friend on this journey is really important too.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I honestly think the reason I do it is seeking that community because I'm one of those people who just feels like kind of unattached to things and I crave that connection. So
Mhm.
for me, my motivation is just to make connections with people and really develop those. And I'm so thankful to have an amazing team and feel that totally.
Yeah. So we have about 5 minutes, and I want to pick your brain on your success in sales specifically. So, where would you say you get most of your sales from? Is it from events or is it,
Uh,
do you do very many Facebook parties? Like,
I actually do a shamefully low number of Facebook parties, and that's something that I want to ramp up this year. I did more last year than I have done this year because I was doing vendor events in the fall primarily, and it was really hard to balance these very long hours and also doing Facebook parties at the same time.
yeah,
So I'd say it's about half and half. I think the key is turning those connections from the events into a repeat customer. And then also to manage, I mean, I think my Facebook group was really connected. It was really going. And I had a lot, I feel like a lot. I had a really good amount of customers. But I think I tried to do things I always try to think in terms of like retail cycles. So I really don't like doing every month doing a flash sale at the end of the month to hit goal. I try to think, okay, when will people be buying? When will they get checks, and doing things at the beginning of the month versus at the end, trying to make sure that I wasn't constantly offering this major discount that would then affect my sales and affect my income, really, because sometimes that stuff doesn't wind up affecting our sales. It winds up affecting what we are making, so because it's coming out of your pocket. So I think that that has really helped, but I feel like it's about half and half,
Like half,
because
you would say your sales come from half parties or half your VIP group,
half
and then half.
VIP group and half events. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, or maybe like half vendor events, maybe even 25-25. It's just been this year, like in the last 6 months or so, that I haven't really been doing um, Facebook parties as much. So
so 50% events, 25% VIP, 25% parties.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So
And what has made your VIP group so successful?
that is such a hard thing to.
I know it's like hard to pinpoint.
Yeah, I think one, it really helped that I was consistent. So I was posting engagement posts, but at the same time, I'm really not necessarily, I don't really like small talk.
Yeah.
So that's not my thing. So I don't really enjoy games just to do games online. Like, if any, I'd rather connect with someone in real life than online. So it really wasn't even that. It was just maybe letting them, sharing about what's going on with my life, or doing some engagement posts. It was, but I think, I mean, here's my thing. Our vibe attracts our tribe, and that really works for our customers too. So I've had people who fall off. I've had customers who've joined other teams, and okay, I mean, that, like, maybe I'm not for them, or that, that was what they needed to do for them, and
Mhm.
that's okay. But yeah, I mean, I think, but growing your VIP group is essential. So when I'm at an event, I connect with people, or I will offer them and say, look, if you join my Facebook group, next time you order, message me first and I'll send you an extra set. I do things like that to get people to connect with my group, but then I also make sure it's their responsibility to let me know when they want to take advantage of that. And they
So,
don't always, but they join my group.
yeah, do you have them join your group right then and there at the event?
I haven't. I'm usually by myself, and so I just don't necessarily have the bandwidth to do
Right.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll connect with people personally too. So I'm like, hey, let's, find me on Facebook. And on the back of my business card, I probably should have had one. I made a QR code, and they can scan that, and it takes them right to my VIP page.
Mhm.
And I learned about this like 2 weeks ago, which maybe but just in case anybody else doesn't, now on the iPhone, you don't, if you just open up your camera and you hold it over the business card, then it will automatically scan the code, and at the very top it'll pop up with a little link to press to go to the Safari, whatever link goes
I
to.
did not know that.
Yeah, I had a customer
Good
teach
to
me
know
that.
because then more people will be using QR codes.
Yes,
Not,
exactly.
I did not know how to use QR. I still don't.
Well, now we don't have to. They made it easy for us. You swipe up your phone. You don't even have to take a picture of it anymore. You just hold for an iPhone. Yep.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes even just saying like, "Hey, you get." I mean, that's just a random idea I'm pulling out, but is just like when they're there, just being like, "Hey, if you sign up," I would do this sometimes, like at parties or whatever. I'm like, if you guys join my VIP group or follow me on Instagram, I'll give you an extra sample, like
Absolutely.
extra koozie. So trying to get them to do it right then and there,
Yes.
I think that's kind of important. Someone commented and said I offer a $1 discount if they join my Facebook group on the spot, and most people do it. There you go.
I think Katie's done that too. I've done that too, but I made the mistake of doing like $1 per set. if they joined right then and there. And then I was like giving them $3 off, or however many, depending on the number of sets. But yeah, for me, it's a time issue, and I just don't always have time to check out, demo, and try to connect with people and do all of that. So yeah.
So to recap, you actually did give 3 tips.
Good.
Let's recap what they were. The first one was don't reinvent the wheel, like success leaves clues. What was the second one again?
Step outside. That's okay. Step outside your comfort zone.
Yes,
Yeah.
totally. You got and pretty soon you'll step outside your comfort zone, and you'll do it so much that that will become your comfort zone. Like you will be comfortable doing Facebook Lives or events or parties or whatever it is that you're uncomfortable doing right now. And then what was the third one?
Be consistent. I think that would, be consistent. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, which none of this is new.
That is the hard part. I really feel like the consistent part is the hard part. I think a lot of people want the instant gratification. They don't realize that there are seasons in our business that are going to be a little harder. Some are going to be easier. Fall is magic, right? But there's going to be some harder seasons, and just continuing to plant seeds through all the seasons, and being, and not coasting, like keep pedaling every day, keep pedaling.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Pauline. This has been so great. Someone just commented and said, you guys have given me so many ideas. So you have helped a lot. So, and congratulations on all your success. And thanks for sharing these tips for success with us. And we'll see you guys next week. Bye.